Hello, my name is Tak Iwasaki. This is Jazz Vocal Improvisation Part 2. And today we're going to be talking about fundamentals of rhythm. So this video is divided into 5 parts. Part 1, we're talking about the foundation of the swing feel. Part 2 is articulation on the triplets. Part 3, how to apply that into practice. Part 4, we're talking about mutual relationships between different note values. And part 5 is practicing on grooves. Alright, now let's jump right in. Part 1, foundation of the swing feel. Okay, so let's take a look at this chart here. This is Straight Note Chaser from Thelonious Monk. We see the melody is written in straight 8th notes, but in actual they're played in swing. So the 8th notes written and the 8th notes how they're played. Da 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 da. Writing it out like this might deliver a more clear visual. Now this guides us to the conclusion that the underlying core of the swing feel are triplets. And we go into part 2, articulation on the triplet. So the triplet has 3 notes, giving us the option to articulate on the first note, the second note, and most importantly, the third note, given it being the upbeat of the 8 notes. Renowned jazz drummer John Riley from the Vanguard Jazz Orchestra says in his book, The Art of Bop Drumming, in order to swing the 8 notes, you must learn to feel the upbeat as the third note of the triplet, which is exactly what we're aiming for using a combination of vowels and consonants. So the combination of the vowel and consonants we're going to be using today sounds like this. Now I'm using T and K because the tongue flows naturally back and forth between the two. The T is pronounced on the front side of the tongue, the K is pronounced on the back side of the tongue. So ta creates a smooth consecutive movement in the tongue. And now we go into part 3, how to apply in practice. Okay, so we're going to be covering 3 patterns here, starting with the one we just did, with the articulation on the 3rd triplet. And we're also going to add a quarter note to that with either stomping our foot or clapping. Now, if you're standing up, you could also walk on the quarter notes. Okay, so here's how it goes. 1, 2, 3. At first, go back and forth between the quarter notes and the triplets to ensure that you're solid with the beat. Now, pattern 2 sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tuck, 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 tuck. This also sort of forms a basic polyrhythm called 3/2. It's 3/2. But we're going to leave that alone for now. So now we're going to alternate between pattern 1 and pattern 2 without getting shaky or thrown off. 1, 2, 3, Now, whenever you're thrown off or you feel just unstable, go back to the quarter notes. We want the quarter notes to be solid home ground to be able to build more complex stuff on top of it. Now, pattern 3 is called the Abakwa pattern. I don't know if I pronounced that right. And it comes from Afro-Cuban music, and it sounds like this. 1, 2, Now finally, we're going to be using all patterns 1 and 2 and 3 and alternate between them. And also go back to the quarter notes whenever you're unstable. 1, 2, So in part 3, we were mainly working with triplets. And now in part 4, we're going to bring in a bit more than that. Part 4, mutual relationships between note values. Now here's a chart with different note durations lined up, starting from quarter notes, building down to sextuplets. The goal here, it may sound strange, but is to be able to feel everything at the same time. Now in order to do that, altering and interchanging between different note durations and different patterns are a good way to practice, but we also want to have a good idea of what the relationships are between these different note values. Now I'm going to fly by this whole part, so I suggest pausing the video whenever you want to take a good look at the chart. So first focusing on the quarter notes, the eighth notes, and the 16th notes. Now obviously quarter notes are double the duration of eighth notes, and eighth notes are double the duration of 16th notes, which gives us a clear visual of where the notes line up with each other and each note value in comparison with the other. And most importantly, where the upbeats are located. Upbeats on the eighth notes and the 16th notes. Now looking into the triplets, where stuff gets a little bit more tricky. We can see the quarter note triplets meeting up with 1 and 3 and 2 of the eighth note triplets, and meeting the 1 and 5 and 3 of the tuplets. I'll be talking about that later on. Now going on, quarter note triplets also meet beat 1 and 3 of the quarter notes. Now add focus on the eighth note triplets, they meet beat 2 and 4 of the quarter notes, and it also can divide the tuplets into groups of 2. And now the sextuplets gives us the upbeat of the quarter notes, when the tuplets are divided into groups of 3. Now digging a bit more into note grouping, the sextuplets grouped in 6 as they are equals quarter notes. Groups in 4 are equivalent to quarter note triplets, which provides us with the answer to the previous issue about the quarter note triplets lining with the 1, 5, 3 of the tuplet. We don't count in 6, but we count in 4 note groupings. Alright, going on, groups of 3 equal to 8 notes, and groups of 2 equaling 8 note triplets. Let's go back for a second, put this in order for a more clearer visual. Sextuplets in groupings of 6, in groupings of 4, in groupings of 3, and in groupings of 2. Now when we put this in score, it looks pretty darn complicated, but in actual, we've been through a part of this. This is pattern 1 and 2 from the previous part. Basically what this is implying is 2 different note groupings. Pattern 1 is 3 note groupings on 8 note triplets, and pattern 2 is 2 note groupings on 8 note triplets. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. I hope you got a basic idea of rhythmic note relations. Now when we go into actual practice, like I said before, we want to be able to go back and forth, interchanging between different note durations, but also group/accent on different notes. And now part 5, practicing on grooves. Now, I've been mostly using a metronome during this video, but I also strongly recommend using a real tune. Practicing with a metronome will solidify your rhythm, but won't be much of a help in order to build a good groove. So practice with a song, a pick of your favorite artist, preferably something that's not too fast, around the range of 100 to 140 BPM. Just to name a few, I practiced a lot with tracks from Oscar Peterson, Sonny Rollins, Christian McBride, and D'Angelo when it comes to like groovy tracks. And yeah, the list goes on. Now, I'm not going to be using songs due to copyright issues, but here's what actual practice looks like. So finally, always keep your body moving so that you lock in with the groove. Just like you're dancing, because a groove isn't something you think about mentally, but it's more of a physical thing you feel with your whole body. So don't think, but feel the music. So that's about it for today. This video came out hell of a lot longer than I thought it would be. I hope you got a thing or two out of it. I'll be posting more videos about jazz vocal improvisation, so if this video caught your attention in any way, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and see you again. Bye-bye.